Hey, everyone. Hey, greetings, ZappaCast fans, Frank Zappa fans. I'm Phil Surkis. I'm the producer of ZappaCast. Now, if the tech is working and you can hear me and you can see me, then technically, I guess this live stream has started. But I have to keep it real with you. This live stream has not started in earnest until I introduce the next person. For years and years, many of us have relied on this guy to know all things Frank Zappa related. He's written many books about Frank. Most recently, he did the liner notes for the most excellent Waka Wazoo box set. This guy has been podcasting about Frank Zappa since before podcasting was even a thing. How did he even know? So he lives and breathes all kinds of music, but I know Frank holds a special place in his heart. He's the creator and host of ZappaCast. So he's the Podmeister. Please welcome my friend, Scott Parker.
Howdy, folks.
Whoa, my goodness. Hey. There he is.
Howdy, folks. This is Scott Parker. You can see us and everything. Welcome to the first ever live stream video edition of the ZappaCast, the official Frank Zappa podcast. And with me, as always, is, as you just heard, our producer live from Oakland, father of Marty, and the world's most patient producer, Phil Surkis, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Woo!
Thank you. Good to be here in the internet world.
And of course, where would I be without this man? You know him, you love him, the mighty and majestic vaultmeister himself. Men want to be him, women want to date him. You know what I mean, ladies? Get in on that. Live from the City of Angels, my brother, Sir Joseph William Travers.
Wow.
Woo!
Woo! Where's the applause? Where's the applause effect?
The applause effect is me and Scott for right now.
I like it. I like it. Hey everybody, I'm little, I'm small.
Oh yeah, you know what? We're gonna make us all right sized.
There
we go.
Now, why don't you tell them what we're here for, Joseph?
Well, this is a celebration, a live stream celebration, our first live stream of the ZappaCast, which is pretty great because you've been doing the ZappaCast for a very long time.
Yep.
And this is the first time that we've ever done a live stream where we're being interactive, we're hanging out with the fans, and we're celebrating a really wonderful brand new release called Funky Nothingness. But before we move forward, we have to do the official cheesy Joe Travers announcement to get it all started. So, Phil,
what do you need to do that, Joe?
Phil, roll a timpani. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ZappaCast live stream. Woo!
Woo!
How about that applause?
Beautifully. Wow. Explosions this time.
Dude, it's ground zero.
Okay.
Really dropped a bomb there.
Oh my God. That's how big this is. This is a 3 explosion live stream.
You have to admit though, because that's a better opening than like if you had to deal with the Cheeseball Las Vegas like pre-recorded corporate gig casino intro. Do you know what that sounds like?
What does it sound like?
Roll the timpani, Phil.
Okay, here we go. Timpani, roll.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the first live cast with your host, Scott Parker.
Nice.
The first live cast.
Live cast.
I blew that. That's all right, though.
It's all right. It's live. We'll do
live.
a take 2. No, I'm kidding. So, folks, we are here. Somebody in the comments earlier said, is this going to be marketing? No, it's a celebration. It's a celebration of this. You can kind of see there's a lot of glare. That is Funky Nothingness, the new Frank Zappa album.
Available in all kinds of sizes.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah, we've got various sizes. We got a small one, and we've got a much bigger one that also comes in purple. And but it's a great album. And what I was going to say about this album is it's there's been a lot of archival releases, of course, 30 years worth almost. And it is rare that we come up with an archival release that is absolutely a never before released unknown album, essentially. It's Funky Nothingness, as you may have heard, is the unreleased sequel, putative sequel, to Hot Rats. And it was recorded at the record plant in Los Angeles in early 1970. For those of you who are wondering if it really was a sequel to Hot Rats, we will let Frank tell you himself. This is Frank, quoted by Jay Ruby in the August 1970 issue of Jazz and Pop magazine. I don't even have time to finish off the sequel to Hot Rats, which I've been trying to get done over the past couple of months. I've been so tied up with this film, and so my activities in that area are a little bit slowed down. So yes, it absolutely was a sequel to Hot Rats, right, Joe?
Well, it was a plan to follow up to Hot Rats, but he ended up, shelving it because things kind of was happening at such an incredibly rapid rate at that time. He was involved in so many different things, and Flo and Eddie came into the picture. What can we say? Things changed for history when Flo and Eddie came in. Sure and, a lot of the stuff that was recorded during these sessions that ended up on this album was planned on being included in other projects later, especially later in his lifetime, like the Lost Episodes, for instance. Work With Me, Annie, and Love Will Make Your Mind Go Wild. Those two covers were definitely, he was thinking about including those on the Lost Episodes at one point in time. The Lost Episodes was going to be a 3-volume set at one time.
Wow. And
he whittled it down to a single CD and, spent time remixing a lot of stuff for that disc. And so this stuff has been sitting around, and it's, the man was so prolific, he couldn't even keep up with himself with the amount of, stuff that he was working on, the amount of productivity happening in his brain. And so he didn't even really get a chance to get back to some of this stuff. He would work on it, he would mix some of it, and then it would just sit there until the time would come. And for this record, the time has come, gentlemen.
Woo!
Woo! Yes.
Now, I know a little bit about the origin of Funky Nothingness as a project, but the very little bit that I know is when you started archiving the tapes. And that was pretty much what I knew until you were compiling the album. Yeah. So how did the album kind of come to be, as it were?
Well, the album came to be after years and years of archaeological digging and just discovering all of the stuff that was there. It's always important to really kind of start first with whatever Frank touched, whatever Frank mixed. Mm-hmm. So, and that's a very long and large process because Frank's mixes are scattered all over reels, all over the vault. And so it takes a lot of time to be able to document those damn things and try and find out what did he mix. And then you find out that sections of songs were like, one section's on this reel and other sections on this reel. It took me years between reels to get to them because they're all over the place. Mm-hmm. So it's, it was like a constant mining event, trying to find everything. And then, of course, you would find a tape box that would have something that would give you a clue as to maybe it's on there, and then you put the reel on and it doesn't have anything that it says that it was marked as. And then you find a mystery reel that you put it on and you're like, oh my God, there's the basement mix of Chunga's Revenge I've been looking for 10 years. Like things like that. That literally just happened. I remember us having a ZappaCast talking about how I needed to find that mix for the, for Chunga's Revenge, the right. Leslie mix.
Yeah.
And I found it. It was the last thing I found in order to make the record, kind of come together because I knew it existed. I just had to find it. It took a while. It took a long time. But then the multi-track reels are also a big giveaway because once you actually document all of the multi-track reels, you can find out everything that actually was recorded or saved, right? So even if it wasn't mixed, like in the case of Khaki Sack, that wasn't mixed, but we found it there. So, we put a little Craig Parker Adams action on it, and then there you have it. Hey, nice background, Phil.
Oh, thank you. ZappaCast.
Totally representing.
I have a related question because we recently saw you on a bunch of great videos, but the one where you're talking to Sir Ian Underwood, this guy. And I was wondering if Ian gave you any kind of clues that help you piece this project together.
He didn't give me any clues, but Ian's been a part of so much history with Frank that it's probably all just one major jumbled up memory. But he did say that he remembered the sessions. He said he remembered that he didn't know the musicians well at all. Like Ainsley was brand new, and Max Bennett was just somebody that had worked on one session at the Hot Rats in '69, and same with Sugarcane. Sugarcane did a couple sessions at TTG during the Hot Rats things, and Ian was there for that, but he barely knew these people, so it was kind of like all brand new, and he remembered the record plan. He remembered that studio being brand new, so that's what he said. But to him, it's like it's all. It's all one big massive memory. Trying to get details is hard, but he's the greatest, man. Ian Underwood is like it's just beautiful. He's still with us, and it's like he's such an inspiration still to this day for all of us, right?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
He's he's arguably my favorite musician that ever played with Frank, because he was really his right-hand man through, pretty much through Overnight Sensation. So,
yes.
And the story he tells about, going in and just doing that intro on Let's Make the Water Turn Black Cold, from We're Only In It for the Money. That's pretty badass. He's a badass guy.
I know.
I was lucky enough to see him in 2019 at the Whiskey with you, Joe, on drums, and Ian Underwood played the Black Page on the keyboard.
I know.
Amazing.
And that was his idea. He wanted to do that, just solo piano, play it. And then I think the band we came in and played it pronto right after him. But yeah, man, that's like. I've had a million of those moments in my life being a part of the Zappa family. It's just like getting a chance to play music with the heroes that we grew up with is just one of the major, things that I've had happen to me. So, I mean, not that this is about me, but I'm just saying.
No, it is about you, Joe.
No, things like that are mind blowers. For me, it's just been a constant one thing after another type of event like that, including meeting Frank.
Yeah.
So, I know.
So we had a comment here from Jacopo Monorati, who is
our
good friend, Jacopo.
Woo!
Hey, now this release is for Jacopo almost more than for anybody else in a weird way, because he has obsessed over these sessions for years.
Yeah, well, it's funny because there's fans have their priorities. There's certain things that they know exist and they get so excited about or want. Like, it's really funny because I've been interacting with the Discord members recently.
Yes.
While I've been recuperating from double hernia surgery, which has been real fun. Mm-hmm. But it's great because it's so funny. I would have never guessed that the top of the line request from the fans at Discord is an anniversary release of Thingfish.
That's the reference you were making the other day.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Oh my goodness.
I know. They're like, "Oh my God, we love that record here," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
I do too.
Good to know.
I don't know.
Yeah, and then they want Italy 1982 as well. They're just losing their minds about bring us an Italy box set 1982.
It's not a bad idea, actually.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea.
But
just out of curiosity, before you go back to Jacopo, is there enough material to do a Thing Fish box set?
I don't know. I haven't done enough research to know the answer to that.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but for Jacopo, is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Okay, but for Jacopo, this right here is his holy grail.
Yes.
Funky Nothingness. He's been waiting for these sessions to come to light for a long, long time. So I'm really glad that he's super excited because he's one of the lifers. He's one of us. He's one of the lifers.
He just needs a wrong arm. He just needs a Frank tattoo. That's all. Now I have a question, Joseph.
Are we doing questions about Funky Nothingness?
We are. Basement mix of Chunga's Revenge is obviously different from Quadiophiliac because that's its previous. Now that is a function of the fact that the Quadiophiliac that version is 4-channel. It's in quad. So
yes, and it was mixed directly from the multi-track master. Like in other words, it was a 4-channel document of what was on the tape.
So literally just the 4-track split.
Exactly, because we wanted to be like, oh, this is what this sounds like. This is what it was like for them to record that in 1970 in the basement. This was exactly what it sounded like. It's like a snapshot of the basement, audio snapshot.
Yeah. Basically, if you have a 5.1 setup or however you want to do it these days, however they do it, and you put yourself in the middle of that, you're in the room with them.
Exactly.
And that's literally what it is.
Exactly.
Okay. Excellent.
But the mix that's on Funky Nothingness is a mix that he took that 4-channel mix and then he, no, not the mix. He took the 4-channel master and then took it to the record plant, mixed it down to 2 channels and added some delays and some Leslie effects. And he literally in real time was sitting at the console just moving faders and running it off.
Oh, I love it.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Such an airy feeling recording. You could hear like that. It's atmospheric.
It's so cool. I love the effects that they came up with.
How often are you hearing a Leslie on Frank's tone?
Yeah.
But also, I was wondering, listening to the whole set, I'm wondering how many wah-wah pedals were used in the making of Funky Nothingness. There's just it seems to be like the MVP effect.
Oh, totally. It was such a great sound though, and especially in the 60s. Wah-wah was it was in its heyday, right? Moving into the early 19. It was only March of 70, so the wah-wah was king.
Yeah. Well, Frank was one of the pioneers. If you don't know, for those of you out there who don't know, and some of you probably do, the guy who invented the wah-wah, or one of the guys who was key in inventing the wah-wah, was a guy named Del Casher, who was a friend of Frank's and gave him his first wah pedal. He played with the Mothers in 1966. And so Frank had one, certainly when he was playing at the Garrick in 67, and introduced that effect at the Garrick to Jimi Hendrix, and the rest is rock and roll history, folks.
Love it. Love that.
Great?
Scott Parker dropping the bomb. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yay,
dropping
me.
the bomb. Did you say dropping the bomb?
Yeah, there it is.
Woo! Now, I must ask, Ainsley Dunbar, who, in fact, we're probably going to see a slide of Ainsley Dunbar at this point. See, I'm doing the KCT. Yep. Yeah, dub room. Yep. There's Ainsley. So Ainsley met Frank at...
Ainsley's name is misspelled, but don't hold that against us, ladies and gentlemen.
This is live, and, grammatical felonies happen.
Often raw. Anything, any place, anywhere, all that stuff. So, I know I screwed it up. So Ainsley's effect on Frank's guitar playing. He had met Frank at the Festival d'Amougy in Belgium the previous, I believe it was the previous November or October 1969. And Frank invited him to come to LA and essentially join the band. I guess the band was going to be, well, it evolved into what became Hot Rats. But the difference between the soloing that Frank did with the original Mothers, Art Trip, Jimmy Carl Black, and Ainsley is night and day. And you have to imagine, and Joe would know this, the propulsiveness of Ainsley's playing had to force Frank to, for one thing, to keep up with that, and also to try to cut through that. Yeah. Because Frank's tone got more mid-range heavy, it got nastier, it got, it got real, I guess I could use the word balls here, which wasn't always the case. He had a more clean tone with the Mothers. So what effect, as a drummer, Joseph, do you think that Ainsley had on Frank's guitar playing?
Well, I know that Ainsley was one of Frank's favorite drummers for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, he really raised the bar, because if you look at, John Guerin, if you listen to the playing that Frank and John Guerin did on the Hot Rats, that was pretty damn cool too. Like
That's true. Yeah.
Willie the Pimp, so things were expanding, but yeah, Ainsley was like, he took it to another level, and there was, Ainsley had an incredible vocabulary. He's a jazz drummer at heart, so improvisation, which Frank loved to do, was to improvise. That was like, it was like holy, it was like the floodgates opened when Ainsley came in, and when you listen to those duos, the Tommy Vincent duos on Funky Nothingness, it's like, it's so apparent right away. It's like, holy shit, they could do this for hours, and they did,
and they
probably did. Yeah,
that just that style, that the Tommy Vincent duo.
Yeah.
Do you want to reveal the secret behind the name, or do you want people?
Go
to
ahead.
guess that?
People have already been talking about it. Yeah.
Yes.
It's great.
Wait. Okay.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, the Tommy Vincent and the Tommy Vincent duos is Ainsley Thomas Dunbar and Frank Vincent Zappa.
Yeah. Yes.
Joe says 3 guesses in the liner notes. I think he said 3 guesses. So, yeah, Ainsley was just this sick drummer who, as Frank said in the Radio Bremen interview from June of 1970, ladies and gentlemen, he just fills up that space. So, you gotta compete with that, and that's what he did.
Yes. It's an amazing workout, the Tommy Vincent duo. Are there any bass players out there who are playing along just for fun? Because the opportunity is right there. It's it's amazing.
Frank did he did track a bass part though.
He did on
that, on Muldred, well, what became known as Muldred. Now the name Muldred, that is not Frank's name.
No, I believe it is. Yeah, I think he used it. Amit told me that he used it as a character name on a Howard Stern interview or something like that. So yeah, it is a term that Frank used.
Yes. All right. So
I want to take a moment just to kind of look at how gorgeous this thing is.
Yeah.
I know Joe has talked about it in some videos, but both packages, this album, it's like metallic looking and such a vivid picture, but I know that Mike Mesker is responsible for a lot of that, and he just knocks it out of the park with all these releases. And I was just wondering, how does this come about? Do you send him era appropriate photos to do this, and how does that process work?
As a team, we have production meetings over Zoom, and because I'm familiar with the historical photos that are in the vault, I usually give the team visual motivation. I show them all the stuff that we have available, and then we take our picks on what we think are going to be the highlights, what would work well. Mike has the eye for how the stuff's going to lay out for different types of format packaging, and he also has like ideas like the metallic look is that foil is so pretty,
so cool.
The first time that I ever saw it in my holding it for real was in that video that we did on at YouTube, where I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that the foil was like going to be like that on the back either, and I was, wow, that looks so cool up at front. And I love that picture of Frank on the back photo. And so, yeah, it's like, it's a team effort, between our production manager and Amit and Mike, our art designer. We all get together and we have powwows.
Powwows.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah. So that shot, that's a John Williams shot.
Uh-huh.
And John Williams is the photographer who shot all of the pictures in the session. And it's so amazing to see all those pictures taken at the actual recording session that this stuff is taken from. And so it was like such a no-brainer. Yeah. John Williams was hanging around taking all these amazing photos, documenting history, really, because here we are 52 years later or something, 53 years later, and we're celebrating this amazing, amazing contribution from not only Frank Zappa, but visually that stuff is like, nobody's ever seen any of that stuff before.
No. Actually, Phil, can you go back to that last one you just had up?
Let's see. Yeah.
Can you find it?
Yeah.
All right. Do we know who that guy is in the background next to Max?
No, I don't know who those people are.
Somebody asked me, and I said, honestly, I don't know. So
no,
I was just curious to see if you knew.
If anyone in the internet world knows, now's your opportunity.
Yes, we would love to hear from you, especially if you're that guy and you're out there. Yes. We would love to know your recollections of the sessions.
So should we take a moment to find out who's with us right now in the
Let's see.
Like who's hanging out with us in this thing?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, is there a lot of people? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Lots of people.
Should we give a shout out to some people? Like who's with us?
Yeah,
do
like
the romper room thing.
Thank you, Joey. I think that's so true. This is what this is.
Well,
we're going to rename this.
It's the goatee show.
Vincent Canada is with us. I see him. I know that's somebody that I recognize.
Yeah.
I think.
Hey, Vincent, how you doing?
JP Funk was with us, and Gary Tatone was with us. I know that for sure.
Gary's definitely with us. He's here.
Hawk and Tuna Music is with us. I know him. That's right.
There's Gary.
Boy, there's a lot of people that I don't know in the chat room.
That's cool
too. That's crazy.
That's crazy cool.
Welcome.
Yeah, I thought that. Klinkoff is with us. Yes, he's a Discord member. Clink is with us. Yes, I like it.
Discord's in the house.
Colonel Clink.
Yes.
The clap. Here's a comment. Just the clap.
Yeah, there you go, JP Funk. The clap. Yeah, it's true. The clap is, and how about the fact that there's pictures of Frank recording the clap?
Look at that.
Are you even ready for that shit?
These are the coolest photos.
Now, one of the questions that we had was, what was the inspiration for the clap? And we kind of approached this on one of our recent psychotic deep dive episodes into the unreleased 12 LP set, The History and Collected Improvisations of the Mothers of Invention, ladies and gentlemen.
Go back,
which are now available wherever good podcasts are sold. And that's a joke, folks. But it is now my belief that one of the key inspirations, if we're talking musical, because if you don't know what the clap means, well, I don't think we can share it with you on this particular episode. But I believe that at least, because he's using the boobams there, that's Harry Parch.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about, right? Yeah, the Bongo Fiesta or whatever it's called.
We talked about that.
Yeah, it's so great.
Those things, those are boobams, they called them, which I think Harry Parch invented, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, that's amazing. And what a great sound those things make. They're so unique.
Yeah, it's, I can't even imagine how many, there's got to be a couple dozen of them on there.
And here's another thing. I never knew what those things looked like until I saw these pictures. Here we are, 53 years later, from Chunga's Revenge, the album. And, Frank was using boobams on all that, all the different stuff that he did. I know he's used them numbers of times before, like the Sunset Sound percussion sessions, which ended up on the Wildman Fisher album. You can hear a lot of percussion on that album. And then there's stuff on Uncle Meat, same sessions. The stuff that was on Uncle Meat, same sessions. And then there's the stuff that Art Tripp recorded that ended up on Finer Moments. And there's always these percussion only excursions in the studio, which are like so crazy. He always prioritized doing that. But the Boo Bams, I never even knew. I knew they were such a unique sound, and I never knew what made those sounds. I never knew. And now we actually get to see what those damn things look like. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So you never saw them in Joe's garage or any place
No,
like that?
he
They
didn't
never
own-
turned
he-
up.
He didn't own those.
Oh, wow.
No.
There they are.
Those were rented.
Can you imagine
Listening to
renting
that,
them?
listening to the unedited master, it's like it sounds like he's creating his own his language right there. I listened to it wondering, like, is there any amoeba-like elements of the Black Page in this? Because like it's a drum piece, so it's so cool to listen to that.
Now, we have a comment here from Stan Peters, which kind of goes along with this. I hear a lot of leather sound-alikes in the Funky Nothingness, especially in the clap. Did he sample these sessions for the Lather project? Well, he did use those tapes.
Yeah. It wasn't so much sampling. It was more about like taking pieces of tape and speeding them up. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was literally, when you watch, it's so incredible. You know, I have to say this. When you watch the edit masters go by of some of these classic records, man, like, I mean, the Hot Rats edit master and Lumpy Gravy and We're Only In It For The Money and all of these, the main edited master that Frank used with the razor blade, it is so incredible to watch the tape splices going by. I mean, like, they're just flying by when you're playing the tape, and you get to see all the amazing amounts of times that he would, slice into the tape and make an audio edit, and they're all flawless. 90% of them are just flawless. It's just amazing. It's just so funny to see the amount of work. It's just crazy.
And some of these sets that you put together, like Hot Rat Sessions is a good example. When you hear, where the edit points would be in the finished masters, it just blows your, like something like Willie the Pimp, it just blows your mind, because that sounds, if you're listening to the edited master, it sounds like live, jam in the studio. It's perfect. And then you realize he recorded a couple of different guitar solos for it and edited things so that they'd have that dynamism to them. And know where that final peak is coming. It's ridiculous. Like, it's amazing.
I know.
How
Phil,
he did that.
Yes.
Phil, should we start answering fan questions, like posted questions, and get people interacted here?
Yes, we should. But I know Scott has a question.
Scott's got a question?
Also, like, while we're looking, since we're going to go and look at that, I'm curious, where's everyone coming in from, posting in from? Where are you located in this world? We want to know. We want to know our reach. So,
we'd love to know where everybody is from. You
know what? I have to say really quickly, I just see a comment right now from Tim Postgate, and he's saying, why is there an additional composer on Twinkle Tees? And that was a mess up with the metadata. That there's not an additional composer or an additional artist. It was Craig Parker Adams mixed the track, and somehow that ended up in the artist field, which is subsequently, I think, been fixed for the streaming platforms. So there you have it. Don't be confused, Tim. Okay, go ahead, Scott. Hit it.
Sure. So the first single was Work With Me, Annie, which is, of course, that cover of the Hank Ballard and the Midnighters track. Now, this is a good opportunity to talk about Don Sugarcane Harris, who I think, with apologies to Jean-Luc Ponty and Jean-Luc Ponty fans everywhere, to me, Don Sugarcane Harris is the freaking Jimi Hendrix of the violin. He's, whatever his personal problems were, and he had many, he could do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. So to hear them jamming on it is just amazing. So, but that's an example of how many styles, that and Love Will Make Your Mind Go Wild, which is a tune by the Penguins. That's an example of the many styles that Frank was dealing with here. So I guess the question is, how do certain tracks like, say, Khaki Sack and Twinkle Tits not get released? Yeah, how do you not release those because at the time, because Twinkle Tits turns up later on the I think it's Joe's Damage album, and under the title A Whole Other Melodic Section, I believe it's called.
Yeah, which is just quoting Frank, as in the tape you hear him say that as right before he shows the band what he wants them to learn.
Yeah.
But like we mentioned before, Frank did eventually have plans for some of these things, but the man didn't live long enough to get the stuff out. That's just the bottom line, Yeah. And also formats are a thing. You really have to whittle it down. Like, for instance, the Lost Episodes. Like, when the decision was made for that to be a single CD, and a long one at that, and not like 3 volumes, then you gotta make sacrifices somewhere. And I think that he maybe he didn't want to deal with the publishing. Maybe he didn't want to deal with the writing credit. Maybe he had other things that he wanted to prioritize other than that, right? So maybe it had been so many years that he had forgotten that there wasn't a complete mix found in one place for Twinkle Tits, because it was scattered all over, and he was like, I'm not dealing with this right now. I'd rather remix Titties and Beer for the second time or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So
that's
like,
all together.
Yeah, exactly. So that's there's so many different reasons why this stuff just didn't happen in his lifetime, but that's why it's amazing for us now in today's day and age to celebrate the fact that we finally get to hear this stuff.
Yeah.
It's been sitting around forever.
Yeah.
And it's so worthy too. It's like,
oh sure,
Twinkle Tits, it has to live in this world. It's such an amazing
yes.
It has to live. It's such an amazing piece of music.
Oh my goodness.
And Clink Off is right. Twinkle Tits is the highlight of the album for me anyway. And I think Like a Rolling Stone is pretty damn.
Oh my goodness.
Stone.
It's so strong.
Scott and I were talking before we came on today about that, thinking how rare is it to hear Frank singing in such an earnest way? Like, he meant it.
Oh
yes.
yeah.
He meant it.
Yeah. He meant it so much that he wiped it. He literally wiped those vocal tracks, and they're completely gone. They do not exist in this world anymore. They're gone. The only way that we can ever listen, we would never be able to remix Like a Rolling Stone today, or I'm a Rolling Stone. I mean, we would never be able to remix that right now for like Dolby Atmos or something.
Yeah,
right,
because those tracks are long gone.
Wow. I want to give a shout out to John Joseph C, because he's saying what a lot of us feel and think. So seriously, without Joe, we wouldn't be hearing this. So
we were talking with our behind the scenes team before we started, and we said, since Joe is the only person on planet Earth who can do what he does, we're going to make sure that he gets wrapped in bubble wrap every time he goes out of the house.
Yeah. Well, look, the bottom line is this. I'm so grateful, not to get super heavy, but I am so grateful that I have the opportunity to do these things, and that opportunity is absolutely because of Amit and Universal, 100%. Yeah. And so I will continue to do my duty for Papa, as Gail said. Do it for Papa. That's what Gail told me. And so
really?
Yes. And so I am still in a position where I can continue to do it for Papa, and that I hope the fans can dig on that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. There you go. Do it, Joe.
All right. Questions?
Okay. I have a question that because I think it's really interesting that you made a distinction between what Funky Nothingness, the album is, and then what the extras that go on the CD. I was wondering how you came to that process. If were there any clues that Frank left behind? Like, how did you decide this is the album and these are extras?
Okay, This Is the Album was basically compiling all of the things that I had available, including all of the multi-tracks, and then realizing what was there, what was usable, and then putting them in an order that made musical sense. I did take one hint from Frank, and that was using the opening track, Funky Nothingness, which is his title, and he was using it on a build reel to connect to. At the time, he was connecting it to "I'm a Rolling Stone," and it was a transition that I heard, and I went, "Oh my God, that we definitely have to use this little Funky Nothingness thing." And then I told Funky Nothingness the title to Amit, and I said, "Isn't that a rad title? It's a good title for an album, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, it has to be the title for the album."
Yeah.
So that's how that came about. And so what you do is like you do the research, and then you tally up everything that you have, and then as a producer you make the decision on Frank. That's one of Frank's geniuses as a producer is how he put the stuff together, and it's all interchangeable. We know that, but the way that he would put stuff together made those classic albums what they are. And so what I did is, I'm not trying to be Frank Zappa at all, but what I did was I just took everything and found a really nice way for it all to talk to each other and be cohesive as a unit and present it as a document of what happened in those sessions that's listenable and flowing to an audience. And then you've got 2 extra discs of stuff that, is kind of like documentary style, a documentary style approach to the main event. And that's how that all came together.
Wow. So you were asking what the people are asking out there in the internet. And I think we also pulled some questions from the different social media platforms before, but there's a lot of questions that people who want to know about the musicians who played on this, played on this project, and kind of to talk about like the amazing musicianship. There's one person who, PC, whatever happened to Sugarcane Harris? Is that something you know about, Joe?
I don't know whatever happened to him. I don't even know if he's alive.
He died in 1999.
There you go, and that makes sense because he lived on the edge, man.
I think it was November 26th, 1999, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Frank admired him, obviously, because Frank grew up listening to him and that music. He was a huge R&B fan.
Yeah.
So to get the opportunity to work with Sugarcane Harris was pretty damn cool. Frank did it twice, for the Hot Rat sessions and then immediately right after. But it was just a very small collaboration. Never to be again. In fact, I know the only thing I really do know is that Sugarcane Harris went on to play in the John Mayall and the Blues Breakers in 1971. So when Flo and Eddie was, with the Mothers, he was playing with John Mayall. And then that's all I know at that point. And what's amazing is the talent. The guy ripped on violin. He just ripped. He's so damn good on that thing.
Yeah.
He could have done anything he wanted, and he probably did. I'm not familiar with, if he did any solo albums or who else he played with after that. I'm sure he probably had an amazing career, but that's all I know about Sugarcane Harris. It's a cool picture of him in the package.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Now, I don't want to, Max Bennett. Did Max Bennett recently? I don't want to prematurely say, but did he pass recently?
Yes, Max Bennett passed. And guess what, Scott?
I don't want to start any internet rumors here today. So
no, it's all right, Scott. I actually talked with Max Bennett on the phone.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we got connected. And it was I forget the series of events of how we got connected, but we talked on the phone. I vividly remember being in my office at the Zappa house and talking with him, and he was very nice. And we had secured him on the possibility of writing liner notes someday.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it never came to be. It's just timing. The projects that we were working on didn't include him, and then he ended up passing. So we did not get the chance to work with Max. But I do remember the conversation that I had with him. Max's time with Frank was small. It wasn't long at all. He did a handful of live gigs, a little bit of rehearsal in the basement. Obviously, that was recorded, and then and some recording sessions that were just like a whirlwind. Real fast. So that's it for Max Bennett, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that kind of folds into the next question that I had, which is a lot of people have asked if there was live material in the vault that could have been included. Now, we've kind of talked about this in previous episodes, which is, I think if I remember correctly, there's only one Hot Rats live tape in the vault, and that's San Diego. Am I right about that?
Yeah,
and that doesn't have sugarcane.
No, it's Ed Green on drums, and Ian and Frank and Max, and it's a frustrating listen because the person who recorded it was on the fly, and I would say when you're listening back to it, it's slightly amateur. A lot of adjusting of levels, like all of a sudden the drums will just be distorted, and then it'll be too quiet, and then Frank's guitar level is really, really low in the mix, and then then he finally finds the right level for that, and then the bass is like in the left channel only, and then all of a sudden it goes to the right channel only, and then okay, now we're center. It's like you could tell the guy was on the fly, just like trying to get it happening. And what's funny is that in a lot of the tapes, the engineers, like in the vault, you will hear things like that, but it mostly happens on the first 2 minutes of the first song, But this guy was making adjustments like 40 minutes into the tape. I'm like, dude, get it together, man. So there is things that I can do with level rides.
Yeah.
To try to balance out some of the constant fluctuations in volume, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the increases in gain that happen and stuff. I can take care of some of that stuff. And I know that historically speaking, it's something that people want to hear. Ed Green, it was really loose. I did talk to Ian Underwood about it, and I said, well, it sounds like there wasn't much rehearsal. There wasn't much rehearsal for that. And Ian was like, there wasn't any rehearsal for that.
Oh my goodness.
That is beyond awesome. We just had a really good question. Phil, can you put that up?
Yeah. What's up with that question?
Yes.
Benjamin Smith, the engineer, says clap 8 before Chunga's Revenge, take 8. What's up with that?
Okay, well, here's what it is. At the time, the clap and the title, the clap, and the title, Chunga's Revenge, were interchangeable. They didn't find a home yet. So literally, the Chunga's Revenge, when the song was written, which, by the way, on the San Diego tape, you can hear Frank introduce it. It doesn't have a name, and he just refers to it as a bolero. Okay? So, and during the recording sessions, it still didn't have a name. Chunga's Revenge, and it was being called The Clap. And Chunga's Revenge was, God knows what that was. Oh, I think it was Transylvania Boogie, maybe I can't remember. But all I know is that the way that it ended up, that's what history will always have it be. But the Chunga's Revenge was being called The Clap when it was being recorded. So things were just, in flux, a constant state of flux, title-wise.
Oh my goodness. We have another question from Joe Ashworth, who's wondering, do you know what guitars Frank used in these sessions?
Well, yeah, it's SG. It's in the pictures.
Yeah.
And there's some really great pictures of it. That SG was, I think, the same SG that he used at the with the Zubin Mehta show.
Yes.
Right? Yep.
So that he also, there's pictures of him with what looks like Gibson 12-string electric also. And I'm trying to figure out where he used that.
It's
on the
on.
recordings.
It's on. It might be on Halos and Arrows.
Oh, yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's on that.
Yeah. Okay. We
So
have
yeah, the one track that was found at the end of the reel that he didn't save. He recorded over all of it, and that was all that was left.
yeah.
I just want to say thank you to the Real Deadhead Dad.
Truly the masters. Of
You guys are
multitasking.
truly the masters of
Yeah,
multitasking.
Yeah.
We've been preparing for this our entire lives, you see. So there's a question.
Hey, if
for-
anybody wants to know, my background is the Bernie Grunman cutting lathe.
there you go.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Aren't you really there, Joe?
I'm now sitting in the cutting room at Bernie Grunman. Yes.
That's cool. That's cool.
Thanks to my nifty green screen.
Yay.
Woo.
Well, this kind of goes with that. There's a question that came out of from chat.
Oh,
Did
one
you-
more thing. Sorry to
Oh.
bother you. Sorry to
No, go
interrupt,
ahead.
but
No, go ahead.
I keep forgetting. We're running out of time, and I want to make sure. Mike Mesker is telling me that it was shot on infrared film, the front cover photo.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Which, was very popular at that time.
Yeah.
The Hot Rats was infrared film.
Mhm.
GTOs was infrared
Really?
film. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
no.
yep. So that's why that has that look to it,
Oh.
So, yeah.
3D-ish in this, actually, now that I look at it.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Scott. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. We do have a couple more if we have time, or do you want to? Do we have a few minutes?
We definitely have a few minutes, but I want to quickly say shout outs to Tord in Stockholm, Matt in
Yes.
Seattle, Hervé in France, Benjamin in Philly. Yeah, it's cool to see people coming in all over the world.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
great. And,
Super
and
exciting.
if we don't get a chance, we'll just quickly say now that we do hope to do more of these live streams, and we really want to thank you all for joining us and leaving comments and just interacting. It's just an opportunity for us to all get together and talk about the work that we do and celebrate this wonderful music by this guy who we all love, and and that you're all a part of it with us. Or at least we're trying to make it that way. It's really hard to answer all those damn questions, but we'll
Yeah.
get to some of them. I told the Discord members, I was like, look, whatever we don't get to in this hour,
Yeah.
I'll go to Discord and we'll just
And
have it. Ask me,
Right on.
ask me anything.
Right on.
There is one question here. Did you have knowledge about, for Joe, of course, did you have knowledge about treatment of tapes, transfers, baking, preserving, etc. before you became vaultmeister? And how did you learn about that? Books, courses?
Oh, that's a really, really, really great question. Oh my God.
yeah.
So I did not know.
No.
I did not know. It was all on the job training for me. Everything was when I got the job. Learning how to handle tape, learning how to catalog stuff, learning a computer. I didn't know any of that stuff. Learning how to run tape machines, learning how to do electronics and all the things that you need to know in order to do what I do. I learned it all, and I have to give a shout out. I remember I was like on the telephone calling anybody in the industry that I knew to give me direction on, because I had heard, oh, you have to bake tapes. Well, I don't know how to do that. What do you use? How long do you bake it for? What are the specs? Like, I didn't know any of that stuff. And there was no internet in 1995. There wasn't. I mean, I didn't have the resources that people do now. So I vividly remember being directed to a person, and I will never forget this name. It's so funny. I just never seem to forget this person's name. But I guess when Ampex when Ampex realized that they had a massive problem on their hands with everybody's masters from the 70s dying on the shelf, right? They took the responsibility to come up with a method to save it. And the last remaining tape engineer at Ampex, which at the time in the 90s was Quantigy, his name was George LaForgia. And I got this person's number, and I believe that he lived in the East Coast, like in Jersey or something. And I called up George LaForgia and talked to him on the phone, and I said, George, my name is Joe. I work for the Zappa estate. the Zappa Family Trust, and I've got a whole vault of tapes that I don't want to ruin. What do I do? And this guy told me, and I wrote it down on a piece of paper, like all the notes, like you need a convection oven, or you could get a food dehydrator. You need to do it at 130 degrees for 8 hours. Make sure that you do this. Make sure you do that. If you can't bake acetate tape. You can only bake back coat tape. If you want to know what the difference is between it, hold it up to the light. I mean, and he told me the years and all the different tape formulations. The guy was unbelievable. He was so sweet, and I knew he was older. I mean, the guy had to have been in his 70s at that time, right? And he's probably not even alive today. And so I'll never forget that phone call, because that's what set me off on my pathway, Scott.
Yes.
Roll the timpani.
Oh, the timpani.
Where's the timpani? Do we still have the timpani?
Oh, we still have the timpani. It's back here somewhere. It's behind the green screen. Here we
That's
go.
okay. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
There.
It's okay.
There he goes.
Haven't done?
George LaForgia.
George LaForgia.
All right, everybody. Shout out to George LaForgia.
Yay.
George LaForgia saved the Zappa fault. You might
Yes.
think that Alex Winter did, but really, George LaForgia saved Frank Zappa's legacy, ladies and
Oh, my
gentlemen.
goodness.
Do we
Fantastic
have
story.
time for 2 more quick questions? or
Yeah,
are we
I think
winding
we
down?
have time for about 2 more.
Okay.
Hey, when are we going to do this again? This was fun.
I
This
know.
was
I'm having a
great.
good time. I don't
This
want to
is
stop.
great.
I don't know about anybody else.
I don't know
See,
about you, but I'm going to Discord after this because
Me
this,
too.
Yeah,
this,
Discord.
this conversation
we're
is just getting
decamped to
started.
Discord. You all can meet us there.
Yeah.
No, but see, what you guys don't know is, those of you who are longtime listeners of ZappaCast, our conversations go on for freaking ever, and it's up to Phil to bring it down to an hour.
Yeah, we're just rambling
But,
men.
yeah, this is what we do.
Right.
But this is too good of a
I just
question. not
I
to
just
ask.
let people hear highlights. That's it.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information that you don't get to hear. One of these days we'll do like the outtakes.
Yeah. A lot of people are mentioning the Olympic Auditorium concert in the comments. And yeah, I know that that's a very popular bootleg from this same band that recorded Funky Nothingness. But unfortunately, it was not professionally recorded. It's not in the vault. So all you have is that audience tape. So you can thank the guy who recorded it in the audience.
Yep.
Thank you.
Otherwise, we would never know what Twinkle Tits sounded like up until now.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning too. Somebody pointed out in the comments that Khaki Sack has actually been available commercially for years because it was released on Beat the Boots 2 on the
Sure.
I think the bootleg was called Electric Aunt Jemima, and they released it under the title What?
Yes.
So
Yeah, and I remember discovering that, and I was like, "Holy crap, that's
the
that's
same
so
track.
funny."
Yep.
Hey, they're asking for a Discord link in
Can
the
we put one
comments,
up?
so maybe that might be fun.
Yeah, I think we should all do that.
And Stefan has a question. My sister's in here, and saying Stefan has a question. I don't know who Stefan is. Whatever his question, it must be important, but I guess we're not going to get to it because I don't know where Stefan is.
I wanted to shout out to your sister Lauren too because
Yeah, she's here. She's with us.
Hey, Lauren. Oh, again. When she said my idea for you to be wrapped in bubble wrap when you go out is a good one. So shout out, Lauren. Here's as we're winding down here. Did Stinkfoot originate from Rolling Stone? This is from Francis Kinski.
Yes, another example of Frank's absolute genius, right? So what Frank did is he took the multi-track master. He realized, first of all, he realized that he didn't want to release "I'm a Rolling Stone." He didn't want he wasn't gonna use that version. So what he did is he took the bass, the drum track, and he took the violin, and I think aspects of the bass track. And then wiped the guitar solos, because it was only a 16-track tape, so he needed the tracks, right? So he got rid of all the instrumentation to open up track availability and recorded piano, his own bass, vocals, effects, new guitar solos, and created Stinkfoot from the Like a Rolling Stone basic track bed. Now, what's amazing about that is when you put the multi-track tape up and you watch it going by, remember we were talking about the edits, right? Well, there's a section of there where Frank removed all the turnarounds. Musically, that means I forget what chord that would be because I'm a dumb drummer. I don't know the melodic. But like every time that it would go to the 5, right? So anytime the 5 chord would happen, if that's the chord, he removed it and took it out. So you see all these edits going by, and then when the song's done, then you have about a minute and a half worth of only 5 chords.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that should have been. One of these days you'll have to sneak that onto something.
Yeah, right. So, but again, it's just the mastery, the absolute mastery of a razor blade and crafting and creating such an iconic song. Stinkfoot. I mean, that's
so you're saying he's making drum loops way before how we make drum loops today.
More or less, yeah. That groove is the same groove.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's not necessarily a loop. It's just basically, a basic track that he crafted to make a new tune out of. But you want to know something about drum loops? Frank was doing drum loops on the Reuben and the Jet sessions at Apostolic.
Wow.
And I found them. They're in little boxes and they're just little tape loops.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yep.
Apostolic box set one day, maybe. Who knows?
Here's a geeky. You know the drum beat on No No No?
Yeah.
The one that goes. That's a drum loop.
Oh my God.
And you want to hear me sing that again?
Yes,
I do,
please.
and I want to
Yes.
sample it. Love it. I love it. This is internet magic. What's happening now?
It is, absolutely. So, welcome to our world, folks. So one last question that I have that came up in the comments from Dimster. Do you guys have any favorite Frank albums or maybe just favorite songs from Funky Nothingness? Well, I can tell you the latter for me has got to be Twinkle Tits, just because I've always really loved that since I first heard it on a bootleg from the original Mother's Invention, Royal Albert Hall, 1969, when on the bootleg it was called Interlude. But, that wasn't the name as it turned out. So that for me, for Funky Nothingness is the, but as far as favorite Frank album, I don't know. I would have to go with Uncle Meat because there's more of it. I don't know. It could be anything. Ask me.
I think you should have said Thinkfish based on the comments, because we have
that's
big
true. Yeah,
Thinkfish
I gotta lose a lot of
contingent
friends
in the
on
house
Discord.
today. Lots of Thinkfish fans.
I know the Discord people. That's hilarious. Hey, when it's time to end this thing, I think let me know when it's the last thing that we get to hear before we sign off, because
Okay.
I think I got the perfect way to end this ZappaCast.
Okay.
I was going to mention Charlena on this. I think it's take 3. I forget which one it is. But there's like a monster version of Charlena on there.
Yeah, the unedited version.
Yes. That was the birth of the monster track. I mean, there were other ones. There was King Kong. There was Pound for Brown. But so much on this set is revelatory. It's amazing.
Yeah. Charlena, when it was released on the Lost Episodes, was remixed for that record.
Yeah.
And then I found an original mix that happened at the record plant, right? Way, way back in time. And so that's included. And then when I discovered the original multi-track of that, I discovered that Frank was editing it and that it was actually much longer than both of the mixes that we have at our disposal. So I thought, well, let's hear the whole thing. What the hell?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
No argument here.
Okay, so there's one. Oh yeah. So Joe, any favorites?
What?
Favorite album? Favorite
Oh,
track
God.
off the set?
Freak Out, Hot Rats, Shake Your Booty.
Yep.
Those 3 are like the first ones that come to mind. But those 3 are not the ones that I recommend to people.
Right.
Because like when people ask me like what should be like the gateway album for people, I really believe that like what worked for me can work for anybody. And for me, it was literally 1981 or 82, and I was 12 or 13. I had discovered Frank when I was 10. It was time for me to go to the record store and literally buy my first record by myself. And I went to the record store, and Apostrophe just jumped out at me because of that cover art. You hold the album out, you look at that amazing cover, you turn it around, and you read the song titles, and you're like, Don't Eat the Yellow Snow, grabs you right away. Stinkfoot, Cosmic Debris, all this stuff. And I was like, I'm going to get this. And I brought it home. And Scott, it's like it brings me to tears, dude.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you what happened to me that day when I put that record on. I knew it was the beginning of the rest of my life.
Yeah. That's how I felt when I heard Freak Out. I was just like, I was a miserable high school, just starting high school kid, and I was just like, here's a guy who understands me, and that album was already almost 20 years old at that point.
I'm getting emotional.
So, I
have to sing the drum loop for No 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 again or something.
Please.
Yeah,
Go.
please do.
Roll the timpani.
Rolling the timpani. Here we go.
That's better.
Excellent.
That is
Oh,
so
here we go.
God.
We gotta stop the boom from happening. That was a double boom. Burnt Weenie Sandwich, You Are What You Is, Freak Out. I don't
Burnt
know.
Weenie,
Well,
yeah.
Those I've played them so much you could see right through them, and they're not, and it's not colored vinyl. So
The oxide has fallen off the record.
yes.
So do we have
I
how much time we got? Are we
I
calling
think we're wrapping it up, but I know Joe wanted to say
That was
something.
it.
That was it.
We'll do
That
it
was-
again when it's time.
We'll do it again when it's time.
Yeah.
Scott, did you have one final question? Do you want to get in there?
Yeah. Well, basically, Gary Tatone, our good friend Gary,
Oh yeah.
wanted me to, or wanted Joe rather, to explain the Hot Rats performance model as it existed. I think that the best way to approach this is to say that at one time, even during the early second version of the Mothers, the Vaudeville Mothers, Frank still thought of Hot Rats as a potential live performance entity. It just so happened that he got involved in composing 200 Motels, and that idea went out the window. But he never really abandoned. I mean, it took him years to kind of abandon the idea of Hot Rats, as it were, because the Hot Rats name appears on the cover of Waka Jawaka, for example.
Yes.
So-
And Sleep Dirt was Hot Rats 3.
Yes.
So to me, I would say that Hot Rats is a subgenre within the Project Object. It's an excuse for Frank to play a certain style of music within his realm of musical styles that he blends. I mean, the guy is so multifaceted. But when you're talking about music that is with a lot of improvisation, maybe slightly on the jazzy side, think of the things that he designated as Hot Rats, right?
Yes.
What that music is, it's mostly instrumental. Grand Wazoo, Waka Jawaka, that was under the Hot Rats genre. Sleep Dirt 3 was supposed to be Hot Rats, oriented. That was an instrumental record when it was first released. So, yeah, that's what I think. I think that it's best to look at it as a subgenre within the realm of this massive palette of music that Frank covers. He covers a lot of bases stylistically. And I think in his mind, that was like one way to justify soloing for 5 hours. What do you think?
Yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I know you want to. I know you're gonna read some credits, Scott, but I want to let people know to visit the ZappaCast Facebook page, and then we'll get a link for the Discord there.
Yes.
Go visit that, and then
Okay.
we can continue this conversation.
Absolutely. One last thing I want to mention. A number of people have pointed out that in Love Can Make Your Mind Go Wild, parts of that arrangement were used for the later arrangement.
Oh,
of,
that's right.
Yes.
And I didn't put that together until I read about it on ZappaTears, giving a shout out to ZappaTears. Someone had mentioned that, and I was like, oh my God, that's so true. I knew.
Colony
and
Vegetable, yeah.
And you know what? That's so typical, because the way Frank composed, he was interchanging things all over the place. There's examples of that throughout the entire discography. You hear things like that. And so to hear that little part be repurposed on the rearranged version of Colony Vegetable that the 71 band was using, it's just genius. It was in the forefront. He was utilizing all that musical data that was swirling around in his head, and it's like, I'll just take that and we'll put that right here.
There's a tiny second fragment too. Do you know what it is that he used
what?
for another song? A tiny second fragment of that.
Oh,
like Babette.
Yeah, you I adore. Yeah, we are so geeky. We are the Wait, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, here we go.
To the Zappa Nerd Fest.
Oh my God.
Live stream.
Yeah. Hey, so we've got lots more ZappaCasts coming soon. So hopefully everybody will be checking it out. We actually are planning a follow-up, right, to the History and Collected Improvisation series.
Yep,
we have a
it's already
follow-up episode, which is going to be happening
This
which
summer.
is going to be great. Yeah.
There's a short video piece that we're hoping to put up alongside of it that is just fantastic.
Yeah.
My favorite video ever.
Oh, yeah.
So that's coming. So if you guys liked this, let us know. We'd love to do more of these. It's just very cool to hang out with everybody,
Very.
So any parting words, gentlemen?
This was a blast. This was so much fun. And whenever I get together with you guys, I learn so many amazing new things that I can't believe how much just always is continually getting uncovered and figured out. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
I
fun
don't know
to see
how
these
I
comments
learned
as well.
Yeah, I don't know how I learned or have retained everything except for, as I've said on the show before, throwing away the memory of my daughter's entire childhood so that I could have room to remember odd Frank Zappa details. You got to have priorities in this world.
Oh, God. Well, we're probably going to get yanked off of this anytime real soon,
Sure,
right? I
sure.
mean, how long has it been?
Yes.
It's been
It's
an
been,
hour and 10.
We don't want to wear out our welcome. So,
All right,
Scott,
so roll the credits. Let's
roll the
see.
credits.
So I just personally want to say thank you to Joseph and Philip and our behind the scenes crew. You know who you are. In case you've been wondering, our excellent ZappaCast theme music was written and performed by Travis Larson and Joe Travers, ladies and gentlemen, of Hollywood, California. Thank you all of our friends. And, again, thank you for joining us and helping us to celebrate the release of this beautiful, wonderful album. I'm going to make my band play I'm a Rolling Stone live. You watch for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to make them do it. And music is the best, folks.
Scott
We'll see you on
Parker,
Discord.
Scott Parker, you're the best. Thanks
Oh, I'm not better than you.
Thanks for the ZappaCast, man.
Oh,
And Phil,
Thank you.
you do an amazing job, man. It's just incredible. I think if we're signing off, everybody grab your mics, roll the timpani. Let's all sing the No 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 drum fill together.
okay.
Here we go.
Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
No latency whatsoever. No latency.
Thank
Goodbye,
you so much,
everyone.
everybody. We'll see
All
you
right.
soon.
We'll see you soon.